What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I think that we were having a little difficulty, but I think that we may have straightened it out with the grace of God. Let's keep prayers. I hope everybody had an amazing week. I definitely did. It's a little cold out there, but I'm a New Yorker, so it's uh, it's all right to me. Feels like a little bit like home. So with that being said, man, I want to introduce the guest of the evening. She's an entrepreneur. She's a community activist. She's a kidney transplant recipient. She is an all-around survivor. She is the founder of Just Defined. Uh, I'm not health it's like a juice situation, juice
Mhm.
bar, health, holistic health
Yeah.
situation. But uh I'm gonna let her explain it. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Tia, I'm gonna give her a minute to kind of reintroduce herself and just give a little background to who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So with that being said, Miss Tia, you have the floor.
Hey, hi Mike, how are you? Good evening, good
I'm
evening,
good.
everyone. Good, good. And good evening to all of the Let's Take a Walk family. My name is Fathiyyah Doster. Most people call me Tia. I'm the founder of Juice Defined, and we are Miami's premier juice and detox hub. And so, before I even get into that, though, I am a preeclampsia survivor, also a kidney transplant survivor. I'm a mom of one daughter. So my daughter, she's almost 15 in a couple weeks. So, mom of one daughter. And yeah, I'm all of the things you mentioned. I wear so many hats, so I may forget about something along the way. But um, just to kind of sum it up, I am a community activist. I have a heart for community, and I have a heart for the health and wellness of our community, and that kind of just shows through my business and what I do in my business. So I'm also a mental health therapist by profession. I have my master's in mental health counseling. And so I was doing that before I even got into juicing and doing any of that stuff. So I'm also a therapist by profession. And yeah, I mean, my business is Juice Defined. We're a juice and detox hub. And we provide healthier options to the community. Like I said, I'm a health and wellness enthusiast, and I have a passion for seeing the healing of the community, like just by way of diet and nutrition. And so that is like one of the premises of why we exist as a company. But outside of that, health and wellness kind of encompass a lot of things. So that's also mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, financial health, all of these things is what really makes true wellness, what it is. So yeah, all being said, those are all the hats I wear for the most part. And that's what I do. But yes, Juice Defined is my business, and we're a juice bar in Miami.
Amazing. um, so let's just start from the beginning. Let's talk about Juice Defined. First of all, where did the name come from?
So it's so funny when people ask me that. So sometimes I have a hard time saying where the name came from. So I have a friend when I first came up with the idea, um, you know, I guess it was just kind of like in conversation, and a friend of mine was just like, "Yeah, you defining juice," because at the time nobody really knew what it was, like especially in our community, we didn't have juice bars and we didn't have that back then, and we're talking about maybe like 13 so years ago. And so she was like, "Yeah, you defining juice, like juice defined," and I was always stuck. To me, it rang a bell. Like it made me feel like, okay, that sound catchy. And so at the time I just said, yeah, I'm gonna call it juice defined. And the whole premise was to be able to redefine what juice is. Because at the time, we grew up on, just those little small little Capri Suns and, things like that. So a lot of artificial, a lot of artificial stuff, right? We ain't really know back then, but
Right.
now we know better. And so I was like, "You're right." I'm
Well,
like
that's
basically
amazing.
redefining juice. So that was the premise behind the name.
I I I was listening to one of your interviews, one of your older interviews, and you made a statement that was very interesting to me. You said you wanted to make it, you wanted to let people know that it was safe to be healthy.
Hmm.
What did you mean by that?
So, a lot, I tell people this story all the time about how I never really knew what healthy felt like until I started eating better and I started juicing, right? And I tell that story because people wouldn't believe, like, we truly don't really experience true health, right? Until we start taking care of ourselves. And so we can go years and years and years literally on edge, body breaking down, right? And the moment that we, start taking care of ourselves, like, we feel the difference. And so when I said that, because it was my experience. My experience was I was sick, right? And I was just dealing with it until I knew to do something different. And when I did, the very first time I juiced, I won't tell the entire story because I'm gonna just make a long story short. But the first time I juiced, I literally felt a shift in my body. And like, from not getting enough sleep to being tired every day, being anemic, having kidney failure, on all kind of medications. And the moment that I went and drank cold pressed juice, like real fruits and vegetables, the next day I woke up, and when I say I felt like I had not felt good, I'm gonna say in years, but I will also say, like, I don't ever think I felt that good ever. So, to me, when I
Wow.
tell people about that, I'm like, look, it's safe to be healthy. Like, you don't even know what true health feel like until you start taking care of yourself, right? Until we start giving our bodies the things that it was intended to consume, we don't really know what health is, right? And that's safe. It's safe for us to be healthy. We don't have to be afraid of, because I hear that all the time, like, you drinking green juice, what is that, and we'll turn our nose up at it because it's green, or because it's, it got all of these ingredients that we don't necessarily like. But then on the other side of that fear of drinking something you don't like is where your healing is. And so I try to, encourage people to think outside the box, right? Because we have to take those steps, right? If we want to do something better for ourselves. So that's essentially what I was just saying. Like, just trying to encourage our community to understand, like, it's safe for us to be healthy. We don't have to be sick, right? Like, oftentimes we choose to be. And so, and not everybody case. I'm not trying to make a blanket statement, but I'm just saying a lot of times the choices we make lead us to where we are. And so I just want, the community to know, like, it's safe for us to eat better. It's safe for us to do better for ourselves. And that's essentially what I meant by that.
Okay. So yeah, I was list like I said, I when I, you know, decide to invite a guest or whatever, and they we go through the whole thing of accepting and all that, I start going down the proverbial rabbit hole, and I start, just researching and watching, looking over, what you've done in the past, some of the things that, it's just to see what kind of makes you tick, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you were saying how the area that you live in
Hmm.
is not is a food desert, is a food
Hmm.
desert, and I've never quite heard that term used before. But what does that actually mean? And two-prong question: what does that
Hmm.
mean? Period. And what does that mean? What has that meant to Juice Defined?
So, okay,
Is
first of
that an
all, I'm from,
obstacle or an asset for Juice Defined?
okay. So, first of all, I'm from Miami, Florida, specifically Miami Gardens. We are a suburb of Miami, and we, like, on the north end of Miami-Dade County. So where I am, we are growing now. Okay, now I tell that story because we have evolved a lot as a city, right? But growing up here, and I heard you say you was from New York, so you used to this cold weather. Down here, it's been, I think for the last couple of days, it's been between the 50s and low 70s. So we ain't used to this. I just wanted to make that clear. Like it's too cold for us down here. But
Right.
we only get a couple of days, so it's cool. So yeah, I'm from Miami Gardens. So what essentially what a food desert is, it is an area that is, just marked by not having enough grocery stores within the certain mile radius, or not having healthy options. We can even go so far as to say, not have, it's more about nutrition, but you can also, kind of speak to, not having a lot of green spaces, not having a lot of healthy outlets, right? And so growing up, we didn't know what juice bars were. We didn't have like vegan restaurants. We had McDonald's on every corner. We had Taco Bell, the Burger Kings. We had, obviously we got the soul food places, so we have, and our city is a predominantly Black city. So they actually say that Miami Gardens is the blackest city south of Atlanta. And so we have,
Okay.
but it is. And so we have a really large population of Black people living in this city. And so, and also the city right next to us, which is Opalaka, which is right next door to me, literally, like we're right next door. But they're also a food desert, right? And so, and I'm gonna be clear that Miami Gardens is not necessarily considered a food desert anymore, because again, we've grown since then in the last few years, right? But the city that I have the juice bar, which is Opalaka, right next door, is. And so there are a minimal amount of grocery stores. You don't really have a lot of green spaces. And so the people suffer. You will see higher rates of chronic illness. You'll see, um, you'll see like a deficiency when we're talking about like education and things of that nature. So for me, it's important to state that, because that's essentially why, right? Like part of the purpose of why we exist. And so when I first got sick, I said, when I first started juicing, I'm like, dang, I got to juice every day, because otherwise I'm gonna have to drive to South Beach. I'm gonna have to drive to, like these faraway cities in order just to get something healthy. And that's not feasible, you know what I'm saying, for the average person. Like, of course I got a car, but if we're talking about a community issue, like not everybody got access to a car to drive to the beach every day just to get some fruits and vegetables or some juice or whatever. And so that's essentially what drove me to want to open in this neighborhood, because people would say, like, why you didn't open up on the beach? You'll be flooded with business if you open on the beach. And I'm like, yeah, but the beach already got that 10 times over. You know what I mean? Like, you can go in like other affluent communities and they got, juice bars and salad bars and, all the healthy things on every corner. It's not hard to find, right? So it was important for me to be able to, I guess, be revolutionary in that way and say, I'm gonna stay where I'm at. Like, my people deserve this too, right? And that's what it started off as, because I really did want, our community to know, like you ain't gotta go all the way out there just to get something healthy. You don't have to, it's right here in our community. Like, we deserve that too. So that was initially like my purpose for wanting to just stay within the community and be able to offer it. Plus, from a business standpoint, it's an open market. We didn't have nothing like it over here, and the rent cheaper. So, it made sense.
How hard has it been to introduce this to the people? With all that being said, especially being in the South.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you, when I first, and maybe I'm too deep, but when I first saw it, the first thing I thought was gentrification.
Mm.
I was thinking like a juice bar is something that usually exists in the midst of a urban neighborhood being gentrified into
Mm.
something else, and that usually meets resistance when it comes to like minorities, because you know what gentrification
Yeah.
usually brings with it.
Hmm.
So with that being said, what has the response been like? Has it was it a challenge to get the people to buy into what you or consume what you were bringing? You know what I'm saying? Especially
Yeah.
like I said, with all those factors that I just named.
Yeah. I mean, but it's a good point. Like, well, before I moved into my storefront, I was working from my home kitchen for like 7 years. So I had
Mm.
already kind of built up like a grassroots following of people who, which is really what encouraged me to get a storefront because I was working from home and I realized that, oh, people rock with this. They ain't know what it was, but once you tell them what it is, once you tell them what it do, once you give them a little bit of education, they like, oh, okay, like, yeah, sign me up. You know what I mean? And we know different than, well, I'm not gonna say we know different. I take that back. But if you think about a lot of these other like MLMs and stuff that pop up with all these health drinks and teas and this and that, like, you know, with a natural version of it, right? And so,
Hmm.
people were already like looking for ways to lose weight and get, we always, as humans, we always looking for something that's going to make us feel better. And so
Right.
it really was just a little bit of education around what it is that we provide and what it's going to do. Because essentially that's what people want to know. Like, what is this going to do for me? And so if you say, hey, like you drink, I put you on a regimen and you drink this, however, whatever, however I tell you to do it, like you're gonna lose 5 to 10 pounds, or you're gonna
Hmm.
see your blood pressure go down. Oh, you're gonna see your blood sugar stabilize. Oh yeah, if you do this, you're gonna, and people want to hear that. They want to hear, well, what's the results I'm gonna get? And if it's a result that I need and want, like I'm gonna buy into it. So the community, obviously it's still that education piece that we do as well, that we have to do because, people are still learning about how to, this is a new era now. People are after post pandemic, people want to know how to take care of themselves. People want to know how to, how to do
Right.
better, how to eat better. So that works in our favor because, at the end of the day, they know that, look, it's no fluff, and it's coming from me, somebody who looked just like you, somebody who been through something just like you, somebody who didn't know nothing about this growing up, and I'm giving you a real live experience. And then our customers and clients, our family, we call them our family, but and they will vouch. It's like, okay, they did a detox and it worked for them. They gonna tell somebody and tell somebody and tell somebody, and that's essentially how we started to grow. And we still growing. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's still a lot of education that needs to be had in the community. We make it our business to do that too. Get out in the community, do events, speak at different places, just so that we get that word out. Like, this is here, it's for you, come, tap in. But essentially it is a lot of education around it, which we don't mind. And I knew that going into it because I had to learn. And so I think when they see a
Okay.
familiar face, they warm up to it. Now they may not start off with the green drink. They might start off with the pineapple, or they might start off with the apple. But essentially, like when they begin to trust the product and they see what it does, like they fall in love. And so it's a growth process like any business. 2024 was hard for every industry. So things kind of slowed down, but the community definitely supports. They come out, and they learning more. I'm learning that they want it. If you put it there, they gonna come.
Wow. And furthermore, how hard is it to get the actual produce that you need to conduct your business? Has that been a challenge? Being in the area that you're in.
Well, we live in Miami, so we almost, I mean, with the exception of like apples or something like that, we pretty much can, we are like a transportation hub. So everything come through Miami. We got ports, we got train, we got everything. So essentially it's not too hard to get certain things. I mean, obviously when certain things not in season, it's a little bit harder, like mangoes ain't in season year round, or watermelon, things like
Right.
that. But for the most part, like we don't have an issue getting a lot of the produce because I mean, you know, it's a lot of grow land around here. We do have a lot like South Miami-Dade, like there's a lot of open farmland, and so we don't really have a problem getting a lot of the produce. And if there's an issue with like fruits and things that's not in season, then we just communicate with our customers and let them know. But it's not necessarily hard to keep the produce up. We pretty much do a good job with that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hmm.
Um, do you feel again alluding to a prior interview you did? Um, you talked about how people in I'm not sure if you meant people in the area in the region that you live in the area that you live or just generally, but you alluded to um information being readily available for people to be able to know how the juicing works and how it can help your body and the benefits. Do you feel overall that there is enough information, particularly in the minority population? There's enough accessible information for people to really understand and get a full view of what you're trying to introduce into the community? Or
Oh,
do
go
you
ahead. I'm
think
sorry.
that people or do you think it's more so people are not yet um motivated, I guess for lack of better words, to seek the information out?
So I think you know what this. I mean, I guess that's a double-edged sword because you got social media now. Like it's so many influencers, vegan influencers, and people just doing different things when it comes to health and wellness these days, right? Like it's like information overload. So you really can find the information anywhere. The real thing, like absorbing the information and actually using it is two different things. So,
Right.
you could sit on YouTube all day, binge watching how to cook this and how to do this and how to do that. But unless you get off that couch, turn that TV off and go get the ingredients and make it, it don't do nothing, right?
That's a
So
fact.
I feel like we overloaded with information, right? I think what happens is a lot of times people lack the motivation or maybe just don't have the time or capacity to implement, right? And so that's what as a company, like that's the need that we feel. It's kind of like, oh, you ain't got time. Oh, you can't get out, or we deliver. You ain't got time, we'll make it for you. Place the order online, go on Uber Eats.
Right.
We make it easy for you. We on every platform. We got our own platform, so we make it easy for you. And my customers will say that all the time. I don't think I have. It's very few customers I have that don't tell me like, oh, I got a juicer at home. Like everybody got a juicer at home. Everybody got a
Right.
blender. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like everybody got what they need. It's just, are you gonna pull it out and use it? Is the
That's a
question. And
fact.
most people don't. Most people want convenience. Most people want it already made, grab and go. And so, for the people who, say like, look, I'm trying to save a buck. I'm like, okay, well, that mean when you trying to save a buck, like you gotta be disciplined. And that means you got to pull that juicer out. You got to do what you got to do, and and make it happen because you understand what you're doing it for. You have a purpose for it. So those are the things I try to, just kind of encourage my customers to do. But once again, people got enough information. The information is there. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's literally there, and it's not hard to find. But it's just about the implementation of it that oftentimes I'll even find myself, encouraging my customers. I tell them, look, we got an open phone policy. Send us a text. If you need, whatever you need, you have questions or concerns, you can send us a text message and, and we'll do what we can. So I think that that's the thing. It's just the implementation. And I think people are motivated. It's just, once again, we all coming up on the same issues, right? Like, do I want to spend $150 and get it already made, or do I want to, spend $40 and make it myself? you know. So I mean, I'm not gonna say people aren't motivated because I learned that after the pandemic. Like during the pandemic, that's I had to move from my house to a commercial space because people were wanting it. And that's when the business just kind of boomed, because it was just like everybody was looking for natural ways, because nobody knew what COVID was, and everybody was just trying to get rid of it or figure out how they can get better. And so I
Mhm.
think people since then have been really motivated to do something different. So, you know, I think people want it. They want it. They're motivated to do it, and they have the information. So at this point, it's just about implementing it. And however you do it, as long as you do it, whether you want to convenience and purchase it, or you do it yourself, you got to be disciplined. It's beyond motivation at this point. It's being disciplined enough to keep up with the regimen because you know the benefits and you see the purpose of it.
Right. So, okay, so let's talk about your personal journey that kind of like led you to where you are now. That was a, major piece. Um when you said that you were a survivor of preeclampsia,
Hmm.
um I looked it up, and it's really common in pregnant, you know, women
Very
uh, at
common.
certain points of at certain points of their pregnancy, which blew my mind because I had never heard of it until you mentioned it.
Hmm.
Until I heard it come from you. And so I read up a little bit on it, and it messes with your blood pressure and these different things. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I have three kids of my own, and I'm like, and it just makes me kind of respect their mother all the more. You know what I mean? Because you guys really deal with a lot of stuff. You really literally are at death's door.
Absolutely.
You know, that that
Absolutely.
that's crazy. But I won't steal your thunder. Um, could you briefly talk about your experience with preeclampsia?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and my audience is really no stranger to this because I'm so transparent with my story. It's crazy. So, my daughter, she'll be 15 in about 2, maybe 3 weeks, 2, 3 weeks, February 5th. I was pregnant with her in 2010, and I, I had a normal pregnancy. I can't even lie. Like I was like, oh, this is a cakewalk. Like I was good. I didn't have, I
Mm,
think I might've been sick, had morning sickness maybe one time. So I had not had like a difficult pregnancy at all. And then just this one day, I was 37 weeks, and I started like feeling like this bloating, right? And I thought like, oh, maybe it's gas, or maybe, I don't know. I was a first time mom, so I didn't know what was going on. And so, I'm calling my friends like, hey, like something happened. Is this normal? Because I'm 37 weeks. And I know they do say, like, okay, well, you can go into labor around that time, if you don't reach the 40 weeks or whatever. So I didn't really know. But I had tried everything. They were like, oh, drink warm milk. Oh, drink this. Oh, drink that. And I was like,
I am assuming that we are having um a little error going on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're
Um,
fine.
so I was, I didn't know what to expect, and my friends, they didn't, everybody just saying, try this, and I didn't know. So I called my midwife and I was telling her, what I was experiencing because it just wouldn't go away. And she was like, if you want to come in, that's fine. I don't think you're going in labor, but if you want to come in, you can come in. And so, in hindsight, it kind of spoke to how, I guess the doctors really wasn't pressed about it, but it's something in my spirit was like, just go to the hospital because you just don't know. You never know, right? And so I went to the hospital, and that's when they checked me in to do like my vitals and everything. And it turned out that my blood pressure was really high. It was like 210 over 150 or something like that. It was super high. And so it freaked the nurse out, and she was just like, we gotta take the baby like right now, right? And I wasn't due for another like 2 weeks. And so I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like I wasn't prepared, I was scared. And as soon as she said that, I had a seizure. So what happened was, and this is what they diagnosed me with, preeclampsia, right? But excuse me, I had a seizure that ended up knocking out my kidneys, lungs, and liver.
Wow.
And yeah, so essentially what they diagnosed me with was preeclampsia and HELP syndrome, which is hemolytic elevated liver enzymes and low platelet count, which my blood pressure was so high that it elevated my liver enzymes. My blood platelet count was really low. I had the seizure and it literally shocked my kidneys, my liver, and my lungs, right?
Mhm.
And so I was literally, I was on life support for some days, and then I was in ICU for almost 4 months. And so in that process, I had my daughter. She was perfectly fine, thank God. She was 4 pounds, 4 pounds 7 ounces, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So she was fairly small, but she was completely healthy. I stayed in the hospital during that time, getting better. I was on dialysis. My liver and my lungs, I had a tracheotomy, and I was, on a breathing intubated on a breathing tube and all of those things. But the only thing that didn't fully recover was my kidneys. And so I was on dialysis for a while, just throughout that whole like healing process. I was on dialysis. And this is when I started getting into juicing, right?
Mhm.
During that process of trying to heal myself and feel better, and just trying to get back to what I thought was normal, which I didn't know at the time. It was just like it's never gonna be this same normal again. You know what I mean? And so I didn't know anybody who had preeclampsia at the time. I barely had even heard of it. I don't think my doctors mentioned it. If they did, it probably was real brief. I don't even remember my doctors mentioning anything other than because my plan was to have like a natural water birth, right?
Right.
And the only thing I remember them mentioning was, in case of an emergency, you won't be able to have a water birth. We may have to do a cesarean, but they did not really specifically say, for what reason. So
Mhm.
I was clueless, I didn't know anything about it. And so that alone, spiritually and emotionally and mentally, does a lot, on top of being a first time mom.
Right.
I had this health issue to deal with. I was just, I was out of sorts, and I didn't know where to go or who to talk to. Like, I didn't know nobody. My mom never had this, my grandma never had it. Like, I didn't know anybody who had it. And so this is where, over time, as I started to get better, I was just researching ways that I could, improve my health, and how can I get off dialysis, and how can my kidneys repair. And that's when I found out about juicing. And I was just like, okay, let me try this. I saw a documentary on Netflix, I believe at the time, called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And so this guy did like this 90-day juice cleanse, and he said he had all these amazing results. And I was like, he lying. But I was like, I'm gonna try it. Let me try it and see let me see what he talking about, right?
Mhm.
And my mom had a juicer that she had never pulled out the box. Is what I'm saying about my customers and stuff. They be having all kind of tools and don't use them. So she had a juicer, and
Hmm.
I borrowed her juicer to make the juice. And that's when I like my first experience with juicing ever. But it was from that experience. I did dialysis for many years before I got a kidney transplant in 2020, which was another, extreme. It takes a toll. Like it was just another extremely challenging time where, you just want to learn how to take care of yourself. You want to learn how to, how to do better, how to feel better, how to heal the body. And so quite naturally is how, I kind of got into more or less like the nutrition side and the diet side and juicing and things like that. But it was from that experience, and that's when I started to learn like so many women, black women too, right? Because it all women can experience preeclampsia, of course, but we experienced it at a higher rate. We experienced the
Right.
more severe cases of it. I mean, literally the next year, my daughter was 1 years old. I hosted the very first Promise Walk for preeclampsia here in Miami, and um, it was then that I found out so many people, like women, people I knew had preeclampsia, but nobody never said anything. It was just
Wow.
one of them things where, oh, I had it and my doctor gave me some medicine and I moved on. Like nobody thought it was a big deal. Nobody thought it was an issue. And it was then that I learned, like, oh, like this is serious. Like people, like that first year, I can't even. I get emotional sometimes because that first year that I hosted that walk, we had a family who lost their baby to preeclampsia. The mom lived and the baby died. We had a
Wow.
family that the mom and the baby died. You had myself who had like these long term health complications, but we survived. We had people who, had it, but it wasn't severe. Like they probably was still on blood pressure medication, or, maybe the high blood pressure went away, but, they fairly just kind of scathed it a little bit and they were able to continue on with their life. So it was so many different outcomes. It was hard to ignore because it was just like, dang, like a mom died and a baby, or, when you think about those different situations that nobody talk about, right? And you be like, damn, like, I mean, I'm sorry, dang, like, are we just like, are we like just silenced in our community that we just so afraid to talk about our trauma? We so afraid to talk about our experiences that we literally will go in silence just with all kind of things going on. And so that's what really made me just really become a strong advocate for preeclampsia, and specifically Black women with preeclampsia, because, we have so many traumatic birth experiences, but after we had that baby, it's like, okay, well, now I got to be a mom. Now I got to go back to work. Now I got to, we got to keep doing all of the things, and we don't talk about it. Our kids
Right.
don't even know. And I
Right.
heard that several times over. Like, did your mom ever talk to you about what it was like having a baby? What was her experience? Or did she have preeclampsia? And sometimes we don't even talk about that. It's just like, oh, I don't know. My mama ain't never tell me what happened when she had me. And it's like, how do
Right.
we go generations without having those types of conversations? You know what I'm saying? And so that's been kind of like my baby, my mission since I experienced it. Like, I want us to be open about these types of things. Like, we don't have to be afraid that we had trauma, or we don't have to be afraid that that we just did not have the best experience when we gave birth. And because we don't know it, so many of us didn't, so many of us had a similar experience and we just
Right.
don't talk about it. So that just kind of became my mission. Just, my purpose was, really to just open the door for us to just have these conversations, whether it's about, I mean, and that just kind of all of it kind of just merged in together, and it just kind of turned into this, like, from childbirth to whatever medical issues you have, whatever health complications you have, whatever, whatever it is, we can talk about that. We can put it out there because we can get resources, we can get support, we can, if it ain't nothing else but gather together to give a hug, whatever it is. But we can be our own solution, and so I think that that's pretty much how this kind of became my life's work, and just wanting to be able to create spaces where we can tell our stories. We don't have to be afraid to heal, we don't have to be afraid to do better, and we don't have to silence ourselves, because there's other people in the room that probably deal with that same thing. So that's pretty much, long story short, but
Right.
that's pretty much the work that I've been doing aside from the juice bar. That's pretty much been my life's work.
What has the whole experience done for you as a person? I can personally, when I listen to you, the first word that comes to my mind is fearless.
Mm.
Um, when you go through something like that, um, a lot of people have near death experiences, and they come out of it with just a new perspective on life. What did it do for you? Like, do you feel? How do you feel? Like, do you feel fearless? Like I said, has it made you? If you could say one thing, like from a positive note, what has this experience done for you as a person? Not just for forgetting about Juice Defined and the everything that comes with it. I'm saying, as you as a person, what has it done for you?
Um, I would say, I don't know if I could sum it up in one word, but I will say that it pretty much gave me purpose, because I think before that, because I always tell people, like, whenever you have experienced or look death in the face, like, you will never be the same. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, you will never be the
right.
same. And so, yes, it was traumatic, right? And obviously you deal with some of the ramifications of that. But it also, in some way, shape, or form, um, it does make you fearless, and I think that has been my experience. It's like, you will never experience anything as
Right.
as as just as traumatic as that, and not even traumatic, but just something as intense. And so I think in a lot of ways it has made me fearless. um but in a lot of ways too, it also just made me grateful. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mm,
think I live in that spirit of gratitude, whether things is good or bad. I'ma always allude to, like, I'm grateful, right? And I think because at the end of the day, like, I wasn't even supposed to be here, like, talking to you, like, I wasn't even supposed to be here. So whatever it is that's getting me through day to day, like, I'm grateful for it. And so I'ma always speak to gratitude and speak to, um, just having that sense of just faith that nothing else will compare to what I experience, right? It's all
mm.
perception. But gratitude is at the bottom of that. That's the foundation.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. Like I said, I observe, things that, like, especially like if you go to like a homegoing service, what I'm saying? For me, like seeing my mom pass away from COVID, I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and my heart is filling up. And I'm like, you know what? From here on out, anybody that has done anything for me, anybody who has encouraged me in any type of positive way to help me in any way, I'm going to acknowledge them. If I have the opportunity to acknowledge them, I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell them thank you. I'm going to tell them I'm appreciative of everything, even down
Mm-hmm.
to the smallest thing. I don't care what it is.
Yep.
And when I hear your experience and your testimony, it just brings me back to that. You know, I think that everything happens for a purpose, and
Mm-hmm.
you were purposed to do, what you're doing. And I believe that God, uh your personality suits what you're doing. It fits. Like, if you were somebody that was like, you know, arrogant or sedity acting or whatever, you couldn't do this. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, if why me was a person, you would be
My face right there.
right. It would be you.
Thank you.
Um, with that being said, what what would you envision Juice Defined being at its peak? If you could imagine what it is at its fullest capacity, what would it be?
Oh, we getting franchise ready. So, that's what we've been kind of striving for, just to get a solid proof of concept so that we can franchise it out. I think we got a good thing going. The concept is amazing. The story of how it started is amazing. So, I would love nothing more than to have other people to take it in their communities and really impact their communities the way that we intend to. So that's the goal. The goal is the franchise. We're working on that now. My hope is that by the end of 2025, like we're packaged up and ready to get people who really want to buy into what we do. And it's not just sell juice. It's not just, we sell things. Is that we create impact and change. Like, we care about the community. People ask me all the time, like, what's different between you and Jamba Juice or whoever, I don't know, just naming a name, but and it's the fact that we really do truly have a heart for our community. Like, we're outside, so we got the store, but every week we doing events. Every week we're I'm putting together a program that I'm pitching to the city, or I'm pitching to because I want everybody to experience what good mindful you know choices look like, right? From eating to taking care of our mental health. So that's the idea. The idea is to be able to franchise the company, so that other people can take it into their communities and they can do a similar thing. And that's what I'm praying for.
It's amazing. That's amazing. So, what would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
About me
Yes.
personally, wow, no, I heard it all. Like, people be like, oh, I thought you um I don't know. People always think like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you not vegan. I can't believe you don't, like, people always think I'm vegan, or people always think like, somebody told me the other day, oh my God, like, I thought you was just like the rich auntie. And I was just like, oh no, I mean, I can't wait to get there, but I ain't there
Mhm.
yet, but thank you for speaking it over my life. But yeah, so I think people always assume I'm vegan. I used to be. I did adopt a vegan diet for about 2.5 years, whenever I was, again, just trying to figure out like what worked for me. How do I heal? Just back when I was learning, just like all of us, like, we was just learning things, trying things. But I did go vegan for a while. Um, but I would say that's probably like the biggest misconception, that people think I'm a vegan. People think I'm like this like stuck up person, and I'm like, no, I'm really just like your homegirl from next door. Yeah.
do you believe that a person is there such thing as perfect health? Can any one person be perfectly healthy in every part of it, of his or her body and mind?
Um, I will say this. Um, that just because a person may experience certain things don't necessarily mean they're unhealthy, right?
Right.
So, a person can be vegan and still be unhealthy. A person can, be absent of any diagnosable illnesses and still be sick, have or still not be well. So I think it's we don't talk about it a lot, but there's a range to what healthy can look like and feel like, right? But I tell people, like, if you are not experiencing quality life, right, then that's different. Like, that's where you can say, okay, I have to make some changes or I'm not healthy. But when you
Right.
experience a quality of life free from like worry or constant stress or, with no pain or inflammation or, excuse me, not a whole bunch of mucus or getting sick every season. Like, then you can say, like, I'm healthy, I'm well, right? And so I mean, I think it's a range. It's not, it's not like a one size fit all thing.
Hmm.
But I think more oftentimes than not, we don't want to admit that something needs to change, right? Because then that means like accountability. Like, if I'm not well in this area, I got to do something about it. Or if I'm not well in this area, there's something I got to change. I got to be accountable. I got to do. So I think, it's a range. I wouldn't say you can't have that, because I do believe people can have that. But I also think like it's levels to it, for each person. And it might look different for every individual.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I just have one final question for you. It's a question that I ask all my guests. I just want you to take a moment and think about it and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me. The question is this: what would have to happen in your life, if it has not happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna try to suppress my perfectionism. um, wow. I probably would say that success for me looks like trying anything that you want to do at least once. Like, to me, that's success. I can't say it's about money. I mean, don't get me wrong, that can be something too, but I think the most important thing is that we don't leave no stones unturned. You know what I mean? Like, you want to do it, you want to try it, you want to, then you try it and see if it worked for you, see how far you can take it, but not allowing fear or not allowing challenges or obstacles or even your own mind tell you what you cannot do, right? And so to me, that's success. Like, when you're willing to take a chance on yourself, when you're willing to bet on yourself, whatever that look like, that job or that, that degree or that business or, your this family or your whatever it is, if you're willing to take a chance on it, then that's success. Like, I mean, that's the true meaning of fearless. And yeah. So to me, I feel like that's what success is. It's not being afraid to try whatever it is that you have on your heart or feel led to do.
Awesome. Amazing answer. Listen, that's powerful. I feel like we only kind of scratched the surface. We had to overcome some stuff. So I want to invite you again to come on very, very soon so we can, kind of do it better. Um, but I want to thank you for coming on and being so transparent with your story and your testimony and your business and all of that. What's coming up for Juice Define? What's the next thing? What's the next Juice Define event?
So we do vendor events like every week. So we're out in the community selling juice, participating in this or that. We're doing things all the time. But I will say, we have a couple of programs that we do every like all the time. And so we have our juice joint event where we have different we do different themed events where we like a social gathering where we bring people together over juice or cold pressed cocktails. We do our vegan basel event every year where it's in conjunction with Miami Art Week every first week of December, where we do art, fashion, vegan food. We're the only event like that in Miami. So we do that. And so those are things we'll continue to do. I'm also very active on the preeclampsia scene. So I'm always doing some advocating in that area, whether it's around legislation or fundraising or just community events, raising awareness. Like, it's always something. So I'm always going to be an advocate for preeclampsia and just women's health in general. So yeah, we follow us, and we'll keep you updated on everything we have going on. But we're always in the community. So if you ever in Miami, y'all know you got a home at Juice to Find. Stop by, come pay us a visit, get you some juice. Stay hydrated because it be hot down here sometimes.
Yeah. Um, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how could they get in touch with you?
I'm at Juice Defined on all platforms, JuiceDefined. You can go to our website, thejuicedefined.com. And yeah, I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram. So if you DM me or send me a message there, I'm pretty responsive. Or you can, however you get in contact with us. If it's through social media, our phone number is there, our email is there. So however you want to get in touch, I'm pretty responsive in those through those means.
Okay. Well, again, I want to thank you again for coming on to the platform. I truly appreciate your transparency and consider this an open invitation to you to come back whenever. However, if there's something that you want to promote or talk about, we do panels all the time about health and beauty, dating, you name
Nice.
it. I don't know what your situation is, but we do panels on that as well.
Okay.
Um, so I would love to have you back in the near future.
Absolutely, absolutely. We family now. So anything you got going on, if you want me to be a guest, I'm open to it. Um, I ain't gonna say like all of those things are my specialty, but definitely health and wellness. Sometimes I guess beauty a little bit. Dating. I mean, I'm a millennial in 2025 and I'm single, so I guess I could add a tidbit.
Okay,
So yeah, anytime. I love the experience. Thank you, Mike, for inviting me and having me on. I truly appreciate it.
no problem. So I want to wish you much blessings on everything that you're doing, and I wish you much blessings on even the things that you have not even thought of yet. Um, I wish you much success in that as well. What's the address?
Oh, to the juice bar. Yes. So also the address is 854 Alibaba Avenue. So that's Alibaba Avenue. And that's Opelika, Florida, 33054.
That is definitely a distinctive address.
Uh-huh.
Alibaba. I don't know how you could forget that.
Yes, exactly. Right in the heart of Opelika. So we're not far from Opelika Airport. We got a train station down the street. So we pretty much in the thick of things going on in that area. So if you ever in Miami, literally we about a 15-minute drive from the beach. If you I know most people go to the beach when they come to Miami. So we like 15 minutes from the beach. We literally like 5 minutes from the Dolphin Stadium where Dolphins play and play. We literally right down the street. So we're kind of close to pretty much a lot of things down here. So anybody who come to visit Miami, swing by and give us a visit.
Awesome. 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 Well, I thank you again, Miss Tia. And again, I wish you much success and much blessings on everything that you have going, and even the things that you haven't conjured in your mind yet. You're definitely an inspiration.
Thank you. Thank
You,
you.
you have an amazing evening and, and an awesome weekend, and bless you,
Yes,
bro.
me too. All right, y'all. Thank you. Later, Mike.
See ya. So there you have it. We made it. We made it, y'all. We made it. We made it. We made it. I'm not gonna talk you out of death, but she has an amazing testimony. Please check her out, Miss Fathiyyah Tia Doster. She owner of Juice Defined. Check out her website is in the comments, I believe. www.juicedefined.com. Um, check out some of her interviews, some of the things that she's talking about on her page about holistic health and juicing and all that. I encourage you guys, as usual, if there's anything that God has placed in your heart, vision, plan, write that script, write that song, be that, get that degree, um, whatever it is. If God gives you vision, He provides provision. So, with that being said, guys, I'm gonna wish you a good night and let's take a walk.